Many of you have heard the terminology boom, but you've just been carpet bombed. Boom. That was pretty powerful. For those of you that have been coming to Fusion for any period of time, I have been saying for the longest time, if you just put the other person first, your marriage will be a whole lot better. And you didn't know I was sneakily using scripture, I just wasn't quoting scripture, right? Because that's exactly what he talked about today. I'm glad that these guys can learn from Fusion and use them in their videos. We need to start selling our videos, start making some change. Who wasn't here last week? If you have not gotten a Fusion notebook, we want to bless you guys with a Fusion notebook. Sorry, Perez, you're not getting it. I think that a lot of what you saw today, over on this side, just raise your hand so you can see. A lot of what was said was totally true. The bottom line is, again, let me go back to the things that I say of pride and selfishness, right? It's all about you. When we get married, it's all about us. You know, we think that the other person is like, I don't want to, because what about me, what about me, what about me? Right? Right. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. I feel like I have the right to do this. I feel like, you know, I don't think that we could sit here and talk about it for days, and I don't think it could have been put into a better perspective of what he said. You know, it really is, again, I have to go back, and when we were discussing this with the leadership team about do we want to do this series, you never know what the series is going to be like until you buy the series. So it's like, oh, Andy Stanley, okay, we'll buy the series. And so I told the leadership, we have a series called iMarriage. And everyone's like, iMarriage? Is that like iPhone, iPad, iMarriage, you know? And we didn't know what we were getting into until we played the last session last week. And it was like, oh, this is going to be good, because we didn't think of it about it being about iMarriage. And so we have an opportunity to be able to do things. And it doesn't matter where you are in your marriage. You know, if things are going great in your marriage, then this is just a reinforcement. If things are a little bit shaky, or you have things that pop up in your relationship, this was probably a great grabbing by the shoulders and shaking you and going, it's not all about you. The problem is we go into marriage, and after a period of time, you know, it's kind of like what he was saying, is your desires turn into your expectations. And how many of you never thought about the fact, well, you know, I'll never wear a muumuu to bed at night, especially the guys. But I mean, if you're a woman, you know, you said, I'll never wear one of those to bed at night. I always want to wear my Victoria's Secret or whatever discount brand you can find, you know. The women, not the guys. Guys, if you're wearing Victoria's Secret, we need the counseling session. Okay? But I mean, you know, you always wanted to be sexy, and then, you know, most of you, for any period of time, you moved away from that. Man, I just want to be comfortable. You know, he loves me. Shouldn't matter if I'm, you know, whether it's Victoria's Secret or Target. You know, I mean, you know, Walmart, whatever the case may be, Kohl's. You know, you promised yourself so many different things that weren't going to happen in your relationship, but as time went on, as comfort, you know, you had the comfort level of being yourself in front of that other person. You know, come on, ladies, you never even wanted to maybe even, oh, he'll never see me put my makeup on, he'll never see me brush my teeth, he'll never see that wig. You know, I don't know, whatever it is that, you know, but eventually those things came out. I think that there's probably very few of you that still maintain those certain things of, I'm never going to do that in front of my husband. Right? Most of you are to the point it's like, oh, geez, we've been married so long, it doesn't really matter. Right? You can be, and that's cool to a point, you know. But we have to remember that regardless of the situation, I love what he did with the rope. You know, it's really hard to be able to just go, I'm going to let go of the rope. Whatever you do is between you and God, because you want to be God. You want to be the one to reprimand. You want to be the one, and I'm not talking specifically about gender, so it goes both ways, men and women. We like to rein in. We like to scold. We like to, and all we want is to be loved, right? What an amazing concept that if we actually showed the love of Christ to our spouse, the way that God loved us, how the heck can we have as many problems as we do in the relationship? And now you say to yourself, well, you know, I consider myself godly. I consider myself to be the one that's always putting out that evidence the other person. But that goes back to your expectations, right? You're so upset. We get so upset because the other person is not fulfilling what we expect that other person to be in a certain circumstance. I want to be an idiot, and I want you to understand that and be okay with that. No. I want you to be as loving as I am to you. But that's just to cover what you do outside. I want you to just let me be who I am. Okay. You can do that, but are you bringing light? Are you bringing a positive influence to your relationship? It's amazing how many people in a relationship, you know, let's say you want to do something. Your spouse is like, yeah, I don't think that's a great idea. It's like, well, you know, okay, I respect the fact that you don't think it's a great idea, but that's what I want to do, and I think I should be able to do it. I would really prefer you not to do it. It goes back and forth. And you get to the point where it's like, fine, I won't do it in front of you. So I will go off in a little dark corner, or I will go off with certain people that you don't like to begin with, and I'll go do something that you don't want me to do. And as long as you don't find out about it, I'm cool. Right? How many of you know what I'm talking about? You don't dare raise your hand, do you? Right? And some of you will say, well, I don't do that. But you do. And unless you can look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, yeah, I'm that person, there's no healing in that. You know? It's a wonderful thing to be able to admit that you are an imperfect person. If you walk around with that attitude of, regardless of what I say, regardless of what I do, I am always right. My husband is a fool. I am so much wiser than he is. I'm so much smarter, vice versa, guys, if you have that attitude like, oh my God, my wife needs me. I don't even know how she made it this long before we even got married because, you know, without me, she'd be like lost. Right? Given, you are a gift to each other, but you are not the gift to the world that you think you are. Okay? We all have contributions to make, but the contributions that we make will be no better received than they are to our own relationship. Before you want to be a contribution to the world, be a contribution to your relationship. Before you, it's amazing how much awesome advice we have from so many other people, but we can't put it into practice for ourselves. Right? Someone comes to you with a problem, it's like, oh girl, I'll tell you how to handle that. Right? Again, let me bring up the situation of like, you have problems in your marriage and you're going to go for marriage counseling. Don't go to the person that's divorced. You laugh, but there's actually marriage counselors out there that maybe have never even been married before. How are you going to pour into my... Well, you know, I've taken 14 classes. Live the life. You know, some people with degrees, listen, I'm not knocking school, I'm not knocking college, I'm not knocking diplomas. Diplomas as education is great, but there are some things that you cannot beat the street knowledge. the living knowledge, you know? Talk to me about life. Listen, you can go to seminary school, but they don't teach you how to do ministry. They teach you how to teach a class. They teach you about the Bible, and all the Bible knowledge in the world is wonderful if you're going to be a scholar and debate biblical theology. But it's not going to help you minister to somebody that's going through something. It's not going to help you to put a sermon together. It's not going to, you understand what I'm saying? Life experience. And this is why what we do is so important, is because I don't have all the answers, but I can sure speak to you about similar situations that we've been through. But when you put all of you together, whatever these situations that come up, chances are pretty good that someone has been through that and can help guide you through getting through it yourself. So your responsibility is to be able to help somebody else get through the situation. Are you hearing me? It's amazing that I don't consider myself to be all that bright. I know many of you don't either. But I will say this. Fusion has helped me enlighten all of you. And all I want is, it's not a matter of, but God uses me as a tool. I know some of you are saying, oh, you're a tool, Pastor Allen. You're definitely a tool. But each one of us have the ability to be used as a tool. And it's whether you allow that to happen or not that's going to make a difference in your relationship. And maybe in somebody else's relationship. So I think today, I don't think there was any questions for today, because I don't even know how you can question anything that was in that video. That was like, do you have any comments about what you saw today?
We wouldn't be coming back if we weren't getting good information. It wasn't helping us. We wouldn't be coming back.
It's amazing. I've told you guys that Fusion's been going on. Claudina and I have been doing marriage ministry for about 10 plus years. And a lot of people have come, a lot of people have gone, a lot of people go away for a little while, come back, whatever the case may be. But I can promise you that God has used this ministry to save marriages. Okay? And I know of one marriage that's in here today that was saved because of that. But just for kicks and giggles, okay? Whose relationship has been affected in a positive way or saved because of this ministry? What? We are privileged to be able to be here every Sunday with you guys. We are thankful that you guys are willing to invest in the relationship. And this whole ministry was started off as something that God planted inside of us. Yes. And we're just so grateful that you guys are part of it and are willing to, our whole thing is invest in your relationship. And so, thank you. Thank you to all of you guys for what you guys do.
Ozzy Herrera posted something on Facebook the other day that was such a blessing, where he said, making marriage doable. That's exactly what our heart is and was, that if we can do this, if two people like Alan and I, who are such opposites, two different backgrounds, two different cultures, two different religions, blended family, can come and try to make marriage work, that you could too. All that we had was, of course, we have God in our life, but we just wanted to make this work. And in our opinion, if you both are willing to make marriage work, it's not that hard. Marriage is hard when you have the I factor, you know, working against you. But it's not I, it's us. And your marriage has to be so important because God thinks it's important. And it's not that I love the illustration he used with the rope, and I love everything that he said, and I wanted to share a little story. It's not a big deal. I'm an older lady, older woman, but Alan and I have a pretty good grip on our marriage and our likes and dislikes, and what I already know. He doesn't have to tell me what's acceptable in our behaviors. That's not going to hurt our marriage. We're in a place now where I understand, you know, that my actions can hurt, you know, or help, or is this going to cause conflict? And we don't do those things because we already know how we process and how we think. And we don't have to explain to anybody why we do that in our marriage. It's nobody's business. It's our marriage. You know, somebody said to me, and it was out of a good heart, your birthday's coming up, let's go out, let's go for a couple of days, let's go to a particular place. And I said, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And it's not that Alan doesn't let me. I'm an adult, but I know that that's just not what we do. You know, we have a responsibility to make each other comfortable in our relationship. And I'm sure if I asked him, he'd be like, sure, you know, whatever, but that's not the point. I don't want to do that because that's not what we do in our marriage.
You didn't even tell me you want to go with me.
For 2 days. No, because I'm not going.
This is her way of bringing it up. If I do it in front of everybody,
Okay.
maybe they won't.
J-Lo Vegas.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Go see J-Lo in Vegas.
I'm just Sounds like fun.
Well, yeah, you'll go, right?
He's like, no.
Right.
No, you know what? And if somebody else is okay with that in their relationship, that's fine. I respect that. But if somebody has a boundary in their marriage, don't try to make them feel bad because they have chosen to, right? You know.
Claudina's let me go on a 7-day fishing trip, right? Away from her for 7 days. If she found out that the Laker girls were going to be on the boat, she probably wouldn't have let me go, right? It's like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea. There's other fish in the sea, literally. You know? Did like the Starkist commercial. I'm sorry, Charlie. Not going anywhere. But you know, it's all about, you know, we go back to your spouse should be your best friend. Man, if I want to hang out with anybody, I want to hang out with her. Don't get me wrong, I like y'all, but if you want to hang out, let's do it as couples. You know, I mean, that's kind of where it should be at. I mean, couples, and don't get me wrong, you can hang out by yourselves, and, you know, but man, if you want to go do something, everything should be about the relationship. You should be on, like, you should have radar on, if there's something that could possibly cause damage to the relationship, your radar should go off and go, hey, I really need to reconsider that,
Yeah.
because that may not be the best thing for my relationship. I don't want to go too far, but just a reminder, we have the Save the Date.